Schefter, what are we hearing on Mahomes?
Well, Greeny, I think right now the Chiefs believe this was the best case scenario, but that is prior to the MRI today and what amounts to basically the most important MRI in franchise history. The feeling going into that MRI is that Patrick Mahomes is going to be out at least 3 weeks, which would sideline him for games against the Packers, Vikings, and Titans. But we don't know what that MRI is going to show up. We don't know if it's going to reveal ligament damage. And if it reveals ligament damage, then it could be that Patrick Mahomes would face season-ending surgery. But again, going in, they don't believe that's the case, but they don't know that's the case. And that's why today's MRI is so important for this team going forward.
All right, we'll be obviously in touch with you all day long, Schefter, as we continue to wait for the results of that MRI. We showed you the Chiefs' upcoming next 6 games yesterday with their FPI chance of winning. Look at it today. All of these numbers have decreased by at least 5%, a 13% drop coming against their next opponent, which is the Packers. There's a bye week in there. You'll see after their 4th game. They have 4 more games than their bye, if you're keeping close track of that. And I want to, as we bring this out to the table, Sanchez, start with you. Yeah. You had a very similar injury while you were in college. Quickly take us through how that works.
Sure. So I'm not a doctor. Let's get that straight.
Right.
I'm just telling you from my own experience and speaking to doctors from the Jets and a former trainer from USC. When you dislocate your kneecap like I did, you dislocate it laterally. If it relocates itself on its own when you straighten your leg, that's more of a sublux. What they did and physically had to manipulate the knee to push it back in. The issue is underneath your kneecap. The doc talked about this chondral defect because once you manually push that kneecap back in, you're basically messing with the brake pad that's under your kneecap. And if you break any chunks off, that's the issue. That's what they're looking for in this MRI today. I guarantee
in your case, you came back and played 3 weeks later.
4 weeks later, about a month later.
Yeah. But it hindered you or did not? Were you fine?
Definitely hindered me. It's something you think about. You're going to be favoring it. He's definitely going to play with some sort of brace to kind of like on the outside, the lateral side of his knee. He's going to have some sort of C-joint brace to keep it gliding in track, because it's going to be prone to pop out now. Once it happens, you're prone to have it happen again.
Let me turn to you guys here quickly on this, because even before, when you see this happen, even before I started thinking about the impact on the Chiefs and the impact on their Super Bowl championship hopes, my first thought was this is the worst thing for the league, that the quarterbacks, and particularly this one, make the game so watchable. That was actually the first thought I had.
Look, Andrew Luck's down, Cam Newton, he's not playing right now, and the Chiefs have 3 primetime games the rest of the year. And so what makes Pat Mahomes unbelievable? It's not just his arm talent, it's how dynamic he is. He can run around. So even if he comes back, like, is he going to be exactly the same guy that he was at the beginning of the season? Probably not. And so, yeah, this is going to hurt, because if you're not a diehard Kansas City fan or a diehard fan of another team, like, you're going to casually tune in to watch this guy play.
I agree with you. When you talk about the quarterbacks, the NFL has done everything that they can to protect the quarterbacks. Anything outside of now these fluke injuries that happen to Ben Roethlisberger, now also Patrick Mahomes. So when the quarterbacks are getting hurt, it does hurt the league. But there's still a lot of football out there with a lot of good players that we can tune into. So the NFL needs to kind of drawn to that. You help the marketing on that aspect for the other players.
All right, so Lewis, let's then spin it to the element of the Chiefs here. They are a team that has already lost a little bit of ground in a chase with the Patriots. They've lost a home game against the Texans, which is maybe the next team coming up. How does this impact them if he misses, let's call it 3 or 4 games?
Well, it obviously impacts their ability to make special plays. And he's the eraser. He's kind of like the equalizer for them when they're not playing and hitting on all cylinders as an overall football team. But what will happen now is kind of like the same thing. Like, I remember talking to Doug Peterson about this when Carson Wentz went out and when Nick Foles came in. Now Matt Moore just has to try and not be Pat Mahomes, because he's not. Now he just has to be a point guard. Just distribute the football. They're set up on offense enough so where they have enough playmakers to just get the ball in their hands quickly. Don't extend plays. Don't run. Look, you're not going to make those kind of plays Pat does. Just put it in the hands of Tyreek. Put it in the hands of McCole Hardman. Put it in the hands of Travis Kelce and let them do the work. And Andy will make sure that the offense funnels that way. And Matt's been around long enough to know better.
But
and that's
Lou,
what
we need to talk about the defense also.
That was where I was going to go next, because their defense has been a major hindrance.
Correct.
They can't even get off the field in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, even with Patrick Mahomes, as poor as the defense had played, aside from last night, still saying, look, they're a wild card team. They're going to lose in the wild card and maybe divisional round. If the defense steps up, the way that they played against the Broncos, with the pressure, with the turnovers, the takeaways, the touchdowns, then you don't have to worry as much during this stretch when you don't have Mahomes. You have to worry about them down the road now, obviously, when you face the Patriots and better teams. But the defense has to take the onus that the theme of this team is now defensive as opposed to offensive.
And the key what happened last night, they were able to stop the run early in the game. They were able to score and get a lead. The Kansas City Chiefs have a good pass rush. They've always had a good pass rush. The problem is when you're playing teams and they can run the football on you and you're not scoring like the Chiefs, they can continue to run the football and wear them down like the Texans that were able to do, like the Colts were able to do. That's what changed the math for them last night was the lead, and they shut the run down early. They discouraged it, and then they were able to feast on Joe Flacco.
Let's not forget also, they were playing against one of the worst offensive lines
Yes.
in the football. The Denver Broncos have a whole nother set of issues that were really brought to light last night. But there's no question. Frank Clark, actually, it was like his introduction to the NFL for 2019 last night. And they've been waiting on that. And there's no doubt that now they need to go ahead and continue that on forward. Because if they don't, then look, with Pat or not with Pat, they were going to be in trouble anyway.
A quick final thought on this, and obviously we will have much more on this as our morning continues here. But Sanchez, you were telling me in the meeting this morning how tough it is to be a guy like Matt Moore, just get up, go in there, and now have to sort of keep that ship afloat for several weeks.
And I said it tongue in cheek, but I've been in restaurants and bars, and you hear somebody say something about, oh, Sanchez, when he played for the Jets, he was this, that, and the other. And I've never batted an eye. Fine. I heard something last night, and people were like, oh, Matt Moore's in, he sucks. I literally jumped out of my seat. I was like, hey, man, you don't know how hard it is. And I wouldn't even say that for myself. You go to bat for a guy like that because I've been in that situation. But like you guys said, everybody else is going to have to step up their game and make it as easy as possible on this guy. He's played a lot of football, but that doesn't mean it's a guaranteed success. So my hat's off to him. This is not an easy position. I wish him the very best.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports, highlights, and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.